Hello, welcome to Mortal Content, and I am really thrilled I get to have author Hailey Piper, Bram Stoker Award-winning author Hailey Piper. Thanks so much for joining, Hailey. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So traditionally on the show, we start with what we're drinking. Doesn't have to be alcoholic. I am doing something alcoholic, but I picked up something. I finished off the last of this, and I figured it was apropos. This is No Man's Hands whiskey. This this is a limited edition whiskey made by Short Path of Massachusetts, made by all female and non-binary folks. So that was a pretty
Nice.
cool whiskey. Although as you can see, it was pretty good because I finished it. So here's to there. What are you drinking? If you're
I
having any,
just finished some hot chocolate and now I'm having water.
always good to hydrate, right? Yeah. So let's start off here. Let's talk a bit about your upcoming book. Could you tell us a little bit about No Gods for Drowning?
Sure. That one's always kind of a hard one to fit into a bottle just because there's a lot going on with it. But in a nutshell, it's about uh this woman, Lilac Antinous, is trying to bring her mother, a blood god, back to where she lives, um, because in the beginning, people were prey to sea monsters on the continent that they live on, and that is beginning to happen again since the gods abandoned them. Um,
Oh,
However, to entice a god to come back, you need blood. So she will do anything to accomplish this, even if she has to slit a few throats. At the same time, her her lover, Arcadia Mirn, is part of the flood fighters, trying to stop, the sea monsters and try to get people away from flooded areas. And her friend, Alex, and his partner Cecil are detectives who have been tasked with finding who's doing the killings. It's a
wow.
complicated situation personally for all of them.
Yeah.
But
The thing
it
is,
takes place
go
in
ahead.
a sorry, it takes place in a fantasy. It's a fantasy book, part fantasy, part crime, part horror. But when I say fantasy, people immediately think like Lord of the Rings, and this is more like, instead of being inspired by like Western medieval Europe, it's more inspired by like noir, crime
Oh, yeah.
noir.
Yeah. But that's cool because it's basically you're mixing genres in a way that's different. Because, like you said, with fantasy, traditionally everybody goes like the Tolkien route,
Yeah,
and fantasy is more than just that's like high fantasy. There's a whole
right.
gradient of fantasy.
Exactly.
So
Oh, there fantasy can be anything you imagine. And that was kind of what I went into it with, was just like, what do I want to do? And this is what I wanted to do.
and you clearly did it. So that's coming out March of next year, correct?
Yes,
All
March
right.
3rd from Bad Hand Books.
Yeah, Bad Hand, man. Doug Morano, right?
Oh my god, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I
also,
worked with him a couple times before, so I'm just really glad to be working with him again.
yeah. So that website down there, can we order books directly from your website, or do we have to go to some of your other retailers like Bad Hands and?
You have to go to, I mean, I have links to the places you can get them. Like if you go to books and then there's all the covers and you can
Mhm.
click on any of them, they have like, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, the publishers' websites. With No Gods for Drowning, currently I think there are still signed book plate copies from
Oh,
directly from
nice.
Bad Hand. I think they limited those to a certain number, so I'm not sure how many they have still, but I believe they still have some. And if not, it's available from the usual places, the usual bookstores online.
Yeah, I would you be able to get it through bookshop.org because that's the one I usually
I
use.
believe I believe so.
Yeah, I
Um, I
I
don't
just
see
like
why
using them.
not.
Yeah, I like using them to try to stay away from Amazon.
Yeah, no,
Which
totally. I same. I'm probably lost some sales at this point because I just don't link to Amazon anymore on social. I still keep it on the site just because I just list all of them, but
Mhm.
um yeah, but last I checked, it wasn't up on Bookshop, but it probably is by now because the last time I checked was like, I don't know, September. So
Yeah, that's a while ago.
yeah, it's a while. It's been a busy autumn.
Yeah, yeah, and a little bit of background. I had asked Haley to come on for October, and Haley's like, that is a super busy month. And I was like, yes, you're a horror writer, so I should have figured that. So thanks for popping on now, though,
Yeah,
because
no, I'm happy to come on now. It was just, I was not only like virtually running around, but also like physically running around between like New York Comic Con and Connecticut and a couple other things. It was just October is just complete chaos for horror folk.
yeah, as I would imagine it would be. I did remember, didn't was it in September that you did like a meet and greet signing with Jess McHugh? Or was it earlier?
August. It was
August.
August, I
Okay,
believe.
yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
the end of the world as we know it, new tales from Stephen King's The Stand. Oh, nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
I made it a point to read when I first got the book. I got the book, and literally I got the book a day before Chuck Wendig came on another show that I do with Greg.
Oh, nice.
Uh, and I was like, okay, Haley's in this. I got to read that one. So I earmarked the ones I wanted to kind of make sure I had under my belt before I talked to him
Yeah, of
about
course.
things. So I want to talk just a smidge about that before we get into your other books, because that story that you wrote, and God, the title,
A prey
again,
instinct.
A Prey Instinct. When you talked about your No Gods for Drowning, how you were kind of combining all these genres, and that reminded me a bit of that story, because you were doing a lot of moving pieces in that story that really just tied together. And I was like, I don't know how she accomplished all that in 20 something pages. That was just superb. Like, I really, really, really was fascinated how you were able to pull that all together. And it just really, there's 4 characters, but one's not live. So
Yeah. It's and that's always complicated because, like, when you're doing flashbacks, the character kind of is alive also in a
yeah,
way. But yeah, I followed my instincts with that story, and thankfully they led me in the right direction. But also, like, one of my things is, I think probably my favorite place to set stories is by the shore.
oh
So
yeah.
I kind of did myself a favor by setting that by on the beach at the beginning as the hurricane is coming in.
Mhm. Yeah, that was a cool element, because that throws just a lot of chaos into the story. Like
Yeah.
not I'm not saying it's an easy way to sow chaos into the story, but it is a good way to use weather to kind of push the story along in a
I
different
think
way.
I think it depends. I think for me, I like to use weather because I try to put a lot of character into it. I
Mm,
try to make it feel like the weather has a personality, because I feel like that's how we treat it sometimes, even though we know,
sure.
like, in our brains that that's not what's happening. We
Mm,
also act like, with, like, I forget when this was, how old I was, but I on the news had been a tornado, and the way they were reporting it on the news was as if the tornado had targeted these houses, and it was like,
yes.
I know that's not true, and the news anchor knows that's not true, but that is how it feels.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Like, remember in the movie Twister,
Yeah. He when Bill Paxton's
which
like, she's like, if miss this neighbor's house and miss that neighbor's house and hits yours, and he's like, God, is that what you think happened?
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, but maybe you don't
that's how
think
it
that, but
feels.
that's how it feels.
Yeah. Sorry for the harkening back to a
No,
from the
I
90s.
remembered exactly what scene you were talking about, so you're good.
Yeah, it's like Helen Hunt's
It's a
like,
memorable movie.
you haven't had it like feel like it's coming at you, and that was
Right,
like her
right.
point about it. So
Yeah.
but that way you kind of put the weather into that, and you're also, I don't want to spoil it for folks who haven't read it, but there was a point where they said you used a line called "They let her out," and I thought it was about one thing, and it was very much not.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that little kind of finagle twist there. That was great. So I really, really appreciate that. Have you read that whole book, or have you read
I
anything
wish.
else? It's
It's
so
I have
thick.
read some other stories, I haven't finished it yet, so I have there's reading you wanna do, and then there's the reading you have to do, and then there's
Yep.
also the writing and stuff, so it's like, I it's very big books, so, I mean,
Uh,
eventually I will read all the stories. I've read,
that is a
Jonathan
tome.
Chance's, I've read Kat Valor's, I've read a few, but not even half yet, So I do have
Yeah,
I
that's
have
more than
some
me.
ready to go.
I think I'm a third. So the one I didn't get to read yet that Chuck recommended I read was a Nat Cassidy one, and I haven't gotten to that one yet.
I
But
did read that one. That one made me a little jealous because when I heard about what he was doing, I was like, "Oh, that's so cool! I wish I'd come up with something like that."
yeah, it's
Um,
always that bummer, right?
well, yeah, I mean,
Not a
I'm happy
bummer,
with
but
I'm happy with my story, but I was just like, "Oh my god, that's such a cool concept to be using." Kind of the not to spoil. I'm not going to spoil it, but like kind of use the meta side of things. Just because the Stand has had two very different editions, and to
Mhm.
find a story in that is that's really neat.
Yeah, I think Chuck mentioned that Nat took this approach where they said, "Don't do this," and that's like, "I'm going to do all of that,"
Yeah. Well,
and just
and that's
kind
the
of made
thing.
it work.
It was a situation like we pitched our stories, and then if they got the thumbs up, we wrote them.
Mhm.
Um, it all came down to like what was Stephen King going to be okay with.
Yeah,
So and he said yes to everything. So
that's awesome, and it has to be really cool to be part of an anthology that he kind of put
oh
his
yeah,
weight behind, right?
definitely. Oh, totally. And I mean like and he wrote I don't know if you've read the introduction, but he wrote a
I did.
fantastic introduction.
Yeah, it's interesting because with that anthology, sorry, I'm harping on that a bit because I I have two of your other books here with me, and unfortunately, my TBR pile, like everybody's, is just it's massive.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course.
And I said to my wife this week, I'm like, I really got to read books, and then life got in the way, and I just
Of
couldn't get
course.
to it. But the just the idea of having that sort of anthology approach to it, and I know you've written quite a few stories for different short stories and anthology stuff. And I know you did one with Gemma Moore, which I haven't gotten yet, which I absolutely want to pick up, but
Yeah,
I haven't
Roots of
yet.
My Fears.
Roots of My Fears. I actually considered putting, but nobody knows me. So it was like I didn't really have anything handy to, and I didn't have the time to write something. But how is your approach to books versus the short stories? Is there a different approach, or is it just kind of I have an idea and here I go?
Um Well, I think an idea with a book has to, for me, it has to cook for a while first.
Hmm.
Like I can take off like a rocket and write a draft quickly, but the quicker it goes, the more time before that it had to be like in here.
Hmm.
So a lot of times, what is making up a book can be in my head or in notes for months, even years before I'm actually writing it. And like there'll be things jotted down, of course, but it's not the same as sitting there and like time to start the draft, time to write a chapter, time to write this scene. Whereas a story, I can have that drop into my head and I'm just gonna go at it. Because it's kind of low risk. If it doesn't work out, it's like, nah, it's just a story. It didn't take that long to write. Usually I think the longest a short story has taken me write was like 2 months, but that was exceptional. Like usually it's less time than that because it's just like I like Stephen Graham Jones is kind of like this. He tosses about half of what he writes. I don't
Wow.
do that as much. I'm not that far gone. But for a while I was probably tossing about a third of what I was writing because it was just like bang out a story and then banged it out, and then it's just like, okay, I don't really like that one. I'm just gonna put it aside. And sometimes I come back to them and I'm like, oh, actually, that was pretty good. I'm surprised. And then I start to revise it a little bit. And other ones I come back to and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what I was doing here. But it's kind of one of those. They were just talking about this online actually today with just like major media companies used to know that like the way to find something successful was to like make 20 things and expect 19 of them to fail,
Mm,
and then that one thing will take off. And they don't seem to know that anymore. They're way too stuck on their quarterly profit
yeah.
mindset. But that's how I have been with writing in the past. It's like you don't know what's going to work until you sit down and try it. These days, I don't tend to finish a story if I'm feeling it's not working. I do sometimes, but usually I'll start it and I can kind of get a better sense for is this going to come to something that's special? Because I want to be proud of it. I don't want to put things out that I'm not proud of.
Yeah, I get that. So I write not as much as I would like, but I've never had anything published other than I did a pretty moderately successful dad blog thing, in my earlier years when my kids were not old and were okay with me writing, didn't know I was actually writing about them. But
Yeah.
but the idea of sometime writing things that like, having ideas and getting them through is there's some things that I just get to a point and I get stuck and I'm like, I'll shelve that. And most of the time I wind up not going back to it. And I think sometimes that's a bit of an issue, but
I would say, like, when I say I don't finish things, that's because I've had a lot of experience with finishing things that I didn't feel were working, and then
right.
some kind of identify what that is. But I would say if you have a habit of like not finishing things, then it's important to kind of make yourself finish them, even if it's not like the way you wanted it.
Yeah.
Just to get in the habit of finishing things.
Fair point. Yeah, I just maybe at some point I'll get that through my head. But anyway, this isn't about me. I want to talk a bit about. So we talked a bit about No Gods for Drowning, which I'm really looking forward to. Let's talk about this particular book, A Game in Yellow. I've seen it. It came out in September. So tell us a little bit about that, please. August, sorry. So tell us a little bit about that, please.
Game in Yellow is about this couple who are kind of in a rut, and they've been doing increasingly intense kink things to try to liven up their relationship again. And they meet a third woman who introduces them to the cursed play, The King in Yellow. As like if you read too much, you go mad. That's the classic element of the yellow mythos. But if you read just a little and then it gets taken away from you, it induces survivor's euphoria, which is very exciting for the main character Carmen, who's reading it. So it's essentially them deciding to use a cosmic horror cursed play as a sex toy, and that goes about as well as you expect.
All right, so that was not the explanation I was explaining. I intentionally did not look them up because I wanted to hear your descriptions of them. So that is fantastic. Also, if it's cosmic horror stuff, I absolutely adore that sort of genre.
Oh, well, that's most of my books.
Yeah. So that's been out since August. All right. Is there? I know you said you saw signed nameplates for No Gods for Drowning. Are there anything like that, or can you request that through your site if you wanted like a signed book? That's something
I don't do that so much anymore because it's kind of difficult to get things through the mail.
Yeah.
But I do try to sign books when I'm in places. There are, I don't know what that one, because it's been a bit now, so I'm not sure where there will be signed copies. I know there were signed copies at Little District Books in DC, and I think if you call them or email them, they could probably hook people up with that. Because they do ship around the country. They don't just be like, no, you have to live in DC to buy books from us.
Unfortunately, that's kind of fortunately or unfortunately, it's kind of the way it works now, right? You got to be able to kind of send things all over the place anymore. So
but they're an indie bookstore, and it's good to support the indie bookstores.
Yeah. What's your favorite indie bookstore? Like, listen, that's like saying, what's your favorite kind of piece? But what are some that you like?
Okay, I like Little District Books. Curious Iguana is great too. Little Ghost Books.
Toronto.
In Toronto, yeah, I love.
I've been there. I
haven't been there. I wish I could get there. Yeah, those are some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Loyalty Books in DC they're also wonderful.
Yeah. One of the ones I've been following, I just started following, and I've ordered some books from them. Was Ghoulish Books, but they're out of
Ghoulish
Texas.
Books is great.
Yeah, but they're in San, so not like I can stroll into their shop.
Right. You got to get all the way down to Texas for them. And I haven't been there yet, but Twisted Spine in New York City is supposed to be great too.
Okay. So, all right. Well, that's the thing is you can find good little ones. There's actually one that just opened about maybe, well, it's on my way to work. Then my work is like an hour from where I live.
So that's dangerous if there's a bookstore on the way to work.
Hmm. But that one's called Protagonist, and it's run by
Oh,
a queer married couple, and that is just a cool little shop. And
nice.
they have a lot of, like, it's small, but it's very cozy. They did all the work themselves to
Oh
make it
wow.
what it was, and they have just like they basically like sourced like some small foods from different places and baked goods from a certain
Oh
bakery and all that.
cool.
It's a really nice little shop. So that's
Aw,
one. If you're ever near Ithaca, New York, I'd recommend going to that one. That was a really cool little place. But
nice.
so yeah, there's support all your indie shops. Please do that. You know, Amazon makes enough money. You don't need to
Yeah, exactly.
sizzle them if you can help
And
it.
even if you don't want to or can't order directly from a store, go to bookshop.org, link up where you want to get stuff from. It bounces back to that shop.
Hmm.
Anything helps.
Yeah, especially and of course I'm
Oh,
going
and
to say in this economy.
Libro FM also.
Oh
You
yeah,
can link a indie bookstore when you're buying audiobooks, they get kickbacks.
that's right. That's right. I forgot about that one. Thank you. Yeah, so that's cool. So another book that I want to ask you about because I just like the title, and it's "Teenage Girls Can Be Demons Too," which is just a lovely title. So can you tell us a bit about that one too, please?
Maybe if we do another one, maybe that'll be the title. It's just two teenage girls can be demons.
Oh, I
Um,
said two. I'm sorry, I
yeah,
put the two on
but
you.
who know? You know what? You're just getting things ready for a
Oh,
second
for the
second
sequel.
volume.
All right.
So that's a short story collection that came out from Titan in September. I think that's where you got the September from for the other book.
Yeah, I think I
Um,
transposed them. Sorry.
no, don't be sorry. You're fine. Um, Yeah, so that one's a collection of coming of rage stories, just about
Rage.
the monstrousness and horror of having of adolescence, and growing up. And it's very it approaches it from many different directions. Freshman in college, high school, on vacation with the single parent, different locations, different situations. But it's all just about like just teenage or growing up or flashing back to circumstances that happened to somebody when they were adolescents or raising an adolescent, and just dealing with monsters and all the awful stuff that can happen in those times.
Yeah, having raised four people that are now adults, I've gone through all the adolescence in a lot of different ways, and it's interesting because
And you
like that
also
is
were one at some point.
that's true.
So
I was.
so
Now that
it's
was many years ago.
yeah, but it's just one of those things that feels universal. Is like is growing up as hell. And sometimes you got to be demons to get through it.
Yeah. Daniel liked the coming of rage idea. I think that's a cool one too.
That was my editor Daniel Carpenter's coining for that.
Yeah, man, editing. Ugh, I am muy horrible at editing. I am super not good at that yet. But as with everything, it takes practice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you get to a point where are you? Do you think you can edit well?
Um well, I've been a professional editor at times.
Oh, well, then you have a
So
leg up on me.
well, and people would say like, "Oh, you have really clean manuscripts." It's like, yeah, I do this, you know, on this besides writing, I also do editing. So
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it is one of those things that just takes practice, and you get an eye for spotting things. I think it's becoming more and more crucial as like for example, Microsoft Word functionality kind of starts to break down as they add more garbage to it. So I've
hmm,
had to turn so many things off just so I
yeah,
can actually work on my stuff because it has things coming up where it's like you'll have a character cursing and it's like that isn't very polite. Would you like to consider an alternative word? It's like, no, fuck
whoa.
you.
Get lost. I don't want to see
Yeah.
that
So
shit.
I've turned most of that stuff, and it's just like it just means that I have to be paying all that much more attention when I'm going through things. But thankfully
Sure.
I'm not alone in it either. I have, my editors at different publishers that I work with.
Yeah. I also there's just the idea of like they're doing that with kind of that AI shit that they throw into everything now too. So they're trying to like turn that off. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes you
I
can't.
I'm using a version of Word that I purchased years ago, so it's not like the online version, so I'm able to just kind of put a wall up for all
Oh,
that
that's
stuff,
good.
and I usually keep my computer, offline in airplane mode because I just don't wanna deal with
Don't
it.
want to deal with it. That's smart. The airplane mode. That's a good tip because
It keeps you from browsing also while you're supposed to be writing. Well, also you gotta put your phone on the other side of the room.
yeah, that's what I was
I
gonna
have
say.
I have so many techniques for not letting my attention get stolen. Like if it's movie, reading, writing, my phone is often on the other side of the living room. I can see if it lights up, but I have to get up to go scroll or something, and I usually don't feel like getting up. So
yeah, that's my problem. Is like most folks, I just like all right. It needs to be here in case something happens, and 99.99999 times the percent of the time that
yeah, but
nothing's
I'm just
happening.
that's why I'm like, well, I'm gonna hear if something happens because it's just over there. It's kind of
Yeah,
that's my mentality. I understand with other people, it's like, no, I need it right here. So I get
yeah,
it.
yeah. I wish I would be smart enough to put it elsewhere,
You can
but
also just throw it. I mean, that way you don't even have
that's
to
true.
get
And
up
then you
to
just
do
have no
anything.
phone.
Yeah, exactly. Or I mean, if you can aim for a soft surface, and you'll get better at aiming as well.
No, that's true. True. So I also have two of your other books. Again, I apologize that I didn't get to read them yet, but
Don't worry about it.
these
It's a
two.
lot of books.
So yeah, it is a lot of books. Queen of Teeth, which I actually ordered with V. Castro's Goddess of Filth at the same time,
Mm.
which was I did get to read that one, and I'm like, I'm reading this next, and then I just
Yeah, so
anyway.
you've got the pre Stoker emblem on like yours is before that. See all the versions now have
Oh, the
the
little
Stoker
Stoker
emblem.
emblem.
Yeah, so yours is actually a limited
Ooh,
item.
ooh. Maybe I'll take it at Antiques Roadshow. So I believe I know what Queen of Teeth is about. Um, did that's something you want to discuss, or do you want to
Sure.
leave it in the ether?
I've had plenty of years to get good at pitching it to people.
Yeah.
Although the most fun is being at a con and watching people pick it up and flip it over and watching their faces as they read the back of the book. Um, but it is about a woman who discovers she has teeth growing between her thighs, and after a one night stand, and she's not sure what's going on, and then that escalates to horns and tentacles and a voice that she hears in her head, and a whole monster that's growing inside of her, as part of her. And the woman she had a one night stand with is also works for the company that may have done this to her and is hunting her.
Oh, okay. So that's a lot more than I thought was going on in that. So, all right.
It's also a love story between two women and a vagina monster.
So it's a throuple.
It's complicated.
As hey, complicated is on point. So, Light Most Hateful, I believe, is more of a vampire story, correct?
No.
Oh,
That's
so I got that wrong.
all the hearts you eat is my vampire book.
Oh, I had them
That's
confused. I apologize.
Yeah, and that's easy to do because, like, well, so with Titan, I kind of have like they kind of have a format for me at this point. So like the title kind of
Yeah,
zigzags like in the same font and stuff. So that's easy mistakes to
but
make.
it's effective.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. No, they were like, "Do you would want to stick with this?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's stick with it." Julia Lloyd does fantastic with the cover design and cover art. Um, a light most hateful is a little more simple setup than Queen of Teeth. This girl she ran away from home when she was 15. She's been living in this town for 3 years and just feels like her life isn't going anywhere. All she's got to her is the people who took her in and her best friend Sunflower. And then the book begins on this summer night when this storm rolls into town, and just everything goes haywire. This monster shows up at her work and eats a guy. Most people in town seem to be overtaken with this weird sickness where they kind of just stumble around unless you touch them, in which case they gang up and beat you to death, and they go back to wandering around, and reality itself seems to be coming apart. And so she's just trying to find Sunflower and everyone else she cares about and get the hell out of town before it's too late.
That is intense.
It's a gauntlet.
Yeah. What I also want to say is like your titles, like Most Hateful, All the Hearts You Eat. I feel like you, and I think Eric LaRocca does a great job of naming his books too. Like just the names he comes up for things, and I'm like that. If you guys come up with good names for stories, that's
thank
the
you.
thing. But I feel like that matters, though, right? Like the things that matter are like here, you want a good cover and you want to have a good title that's catchy.
Yeah, I mean, it matters to me. I care about the titles. I know some people. It depends on the person. But I know I care about the titles. I want it to feel right. So
Yeah.
I'm sure Eric is the same.
Jay, way to go! Sorry, that's my buddy Jay. It's like I'm late.
Hello.
Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to ask before we start delving into like general horror is. What are some authors that you really either think need to get their eyes on their books, or just ones that you just like what they write? Like, I mean, this is not a definitive list of these are the only people Hailey likes. I don't mean it that way. I just like some people that like you go, oh, I wish more people read their stuff.
Well, I definitely wish more people would read Joe Koch. He's a brilliant author. Honestly, just very complex stories with genius prose, and I just wish more people were reading his work. He's got a couple short story collections out, Convulsive, Invagines. Is just honestly just brilliant work, and his is definitely work that I want to see more eyes on. I could list authors for an hour or two.
Yeah, I understand. I know I kind of
so many
gave
good,
you a broad
like some people who've written books I've read this year, either arcs or otherwise, that I really loved. Johnny Compton, Sarah Gailey, Gretchen Felker Martin, Mia Ballard. Just a lot of. I could just comb my bookshelf, honestly. J.W. McCarthy, Jessica McHugh, Gwendolyn Keiss, Sarah Tantlinger. Like I can just go on and on and on. Eden Royce, Monica Kim. She had The Eyes They're the Best Part out last year, and that's like one of my new favorite horror books.
There's just so much to read.
I can say Stephen Graham Jones, but everybody is reading Stephen Graham Jones.
Well, he's finally people are kind of getting on that train, right? You know. And I've read a few of his. I still think The Only Good Indians is like just that's
one of my favorite. That's one of my
such a good
horror
book.
books. Yeah, that one's brilliant.
And if you haven't read any of his stuff, please do, because his stuff is fantastic. And he has a pretty wide array of books too.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, he's been focused on slashers for the last few years, but he's got so many other books. Mongrels is one of the best werewolf books you'll ever read. And I still got to read his vampire book, The Buffalo Hunter.
Yeah, I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, it's supposed to be incredible. So I have it right here. I just, just like you said, the TBR just.
Yeah, the TBR just keeps TBRing. Like I'm never going to get through it.
There's AC Wise is fantastic. I could just do this all day, honestly.
Yeah, what's funny is like we all have our sort of favorites on that sort of realm, right? And the thing is like everybody has different one that I don't see a lot, and when I see people read his books, I'm just like, I'm glad you're doing that. Is a guy named Craig DeLuey. I just his The Children of Red Peak, that book he wrote, which was just like this fantastic cult book. Like I was like, Jesus, like who writes that stuff? And but I just think that guy needs a lot more eyes on his books. But the one you talked about, Gretchen, unfortunately,
Gretchen Felker Martin.
Yeah, I've got her book, which was Black
Flame.
Black Flame.
Honestly, in my opinion, one of the best books of the year.
That book is strange and awesome. Like and I just like that it exists. Like
Yeah.
you know what I
And
mean?
so funny. So that came out a week before Game in Yellow, and we were both reading each other's books, and it was so wild to see. There are a lot of similarities between those two books, and neither of us had any idea the other was doing that. So it's
Yeah,
kind of wild that they came out so close together.
yeah. Well, it's interesting when you say something like so. I don't know. We'll get into horror, but I just want to mention that there's a TV show called Pluribus, which came out on Apple,
Yes,
which
I've
is
heard of that.
and this the broad premise of it was something. I started a book like 4 years ago, and the premise of it is very similar.
Oh.
And I was like, well, now I can never finish that because that's not going to work now because then we go, oh, well, it's just pluribus. Like, well, not really, but yeah,
Well, I mean, sort of, but it's also like that's an easy comp.
yeah, that's fair. And I
That's how I
remember,
look at that stuff now.
yeah, like Chuck Wendig said one thing online at one time, and it always stuck with me is like everything's kind of been written, none of it's been written how you write it.
Right.
And I was like, that's a really good point because you can have the same story and three people write it and it'd be three completely
Exactly.
different stories. So,
Absolutely.
but it was funny.
I
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I've had short story premises before though, where because I then read a short story by someone else that was very similar, and my reaction was like, "Oh, good, I don't have to write that now."
Whereas I'm like, oh, damn it. Now I can't write that. But like, I get, and as prolific as you are, I could totally get why you had that
It
reaction.
feels like exercising demons. So it like the thoughts itch at me a lot. So I'm like I feel compelled to write them because so I obsess over them. So I had started that story, the one I have in mind. I
Mhm.
can't remember the name of the story that I read that was like, oh good, I don't have to read that. What is the author's name? Brian. I can't remember. He does some great cosmic horror. I'm kicking myself that I can't remember his name, but I think it was like um the Great Goat and His Thousand Children or something was that the name of the title of the story, I think. But um I had started the story I was writing and I was struggling with it. And I read that and it was like the pressure went away. I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
okay, I don't feel like I don't have to exercise that. It's already here. Like the point I was trying to make is already here and he already told it really well. So I don't have to do anything now.
Yeah, I could see how that would be sort of a pressure release valve there on that. Like it's interesting just how everybody has sort of a different view on it. But
Yeah.
yeah. So to the staying sort of in the horror realm, but we're going to go outside of books if you're okay with that.
Sure.
So I know you're a big fan of like very interesting horror movies. I've seen some of your posts about it, which I love. I just love your just unabashed love for things on that. Uh, what are boy, I'm going to try to phrase this so it's not so broad because I don't want to kind of make it be like I could say 5,000 things. So
If you say what are some horror movies you like, then that's just like, oh
that's
boy.
yeah. So how about we start with this? What's your favorite horror genre? Any media, like
Oh,
favorite genre? Because
I
there's a ton of
guess
different
I
genres.
guess at this point I would say it's cosmic because I must be keep gravitating to it for a reason.
Mm,
I would say it's my favorite subgenre. Yeah. I just like I like writing it. I write it by accident a lot of the time. Like I'm just be writing my stuff and then it turns out cosmic and I'm like, either I'm like, oh shoot, I did it again. Or I don't realize I did it again. And then readers are like, oh, Hailey Piper did another cosmic horror story. And I'm like, I did. And I look at it, it's like, oh,
right. Oh
duh,
yeah.
obviously. Of course it's cosmic, this and this, yeah, why didn't I see it before? But when I'm reading it or anything, I really love the scope of ideas. I like the breaking down of what we assume to be reality.
Mm,
I like to feel the wonder and awe of it as well as the horror, just because I'm a big fan of like the broad scope of things
Mm,
like that. Because it's weird because I think the first cosmic horror I experienced, I used to say Stephen King's It because the end of that gets very
yeah.
cosmic, but I think it was back when I was little and there was like this dinosaur special on TV where they were doing the asteroid and such,
Oh,
and um is strangely like it gets a bit surreal, but it is strangely like transcendent in a way of just like this it feels like the sky is like pushing down on the land, on the dinosaurs, and I didn't realize that until I found the special on YouTube, and I was like, "Oh, I remember this. I used to watch this a bunch." And then I saw the end of it and I was like, "Holy shit."
was it one of those things you're like, maybe I shouldn't have watched that as a kid?
No, stuff like that didn't phase me then. The 80s were a different time.
Oh, they were.
Um, but it wasn't like gruesome or anything. It was just like the weight of it was a
Yeah.
lot, and like the meaning of it was enormous. Bigger than I could conceive, because for me it was just a fact. It's like, oh yeah, an asteroid killed the dinosaurs, but there's so much more to it than that I know now, and in like just showing that kind of imagery is just
Mm,
like, this is intense. This is a huge thing that happened on our planet, and it's so long ago that we can't even conceive of the time, and like that's
yeah.
cosmic to me, and like I love cosmic horror with that, and that's why I probably mess with it so much because I'm just obsessed with it that way.
Yeah, like when I hear cosmic horror, I think a lot of like the Lovecraftian stuff, but I mean it's broader than
It's so
that, right?
bigger, it's so much bigger than that, and he didn't even start it. Like
No.
earlier than that with like Chambers and I think Algernon Blackwood. I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah, I'm
want
pretty
no,
sure you're
maybe not
right.
him, maybe M.R. James. I'm not sure. Whoever wrote like The Willows.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I was just like, oh yeah, that's right. Like sometimes again,
I
like
forget, but I get some of the late 1800s authors mixed together, so I'm like, that's why I'm like, was it this person or this person?
yeah. It is fascinating. The cosmic horror stuff I find super interesting because there is a there's a you feeling infinitesimally
Yeah,
well,
and I
if I
just think that's
small.
interesting. And like Victor Laval wrote The Ballad of Black Tom, which is an amazing kind of I hate to call it a retelling. I don't even think that is an appropriate way to look at it. It's kind of like a different approach to Lovecraft's story, The Horror at Red Hook. But there's a line in that where um because of the prejudice the main character is facing, he's aware of the cosmic horror thing. It's like all the horror of being uh in unimportant, and he's like, I wish to be forgotten. I wish to not be noticed. It would be much better to be unimportant, to be infinitesimal, than to be noticed and hated. And that's something I feel like I've kind of approached a little bit sometimes with my cosmic horror. Is like the cosmic horror thing might have just happened to you because nature itself is cosmic,
Yeah.
but sometimes what's been directly affected has a mind and has attention, and it can be focused on you,
Yeah.
and there's
Circling
not
back
much
to
you
this
can do about it.
circling back to how it feels in a tornado, but that sort of thing,
Exactly,
right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hey, have you ever read the book Lovecraft Country? I know it was made an HBO show, which was phenomenal, but did you ever read the book?
No, I haven't read it.
That is one of the cooler cosmic horror, but they tied in with Jim Crow,
Mhm.
and it's by Matt Huff. The book is awesome. I'm they made it into a show, and the show was really good too, and it was canceled after one season, which typical for streaming
What
service to
is
have this
these
awesome,
days?
yeah, like you have this one awesome show. Yeah, that's enough of that. Like that first season of The
Right.
Watchmen was that show on HBO was an HBO. Come on, man. Usually it's Netflix, but that's twice HBO has kind of screwed the pooch on those things.
It's
But
every streaming service, honestly.
yeah, I don't understand that if it's something that's popular, other than it costs too much to produce, whatever.
I
But
have no idea. I don't know.
um,
I don't think I think in a lot of situations it's not even people making that decision. There's like some spreadsheet that runs to this point, and instead of looking at all the nuanced factors. They're just like, well, this row E of column D says
Mhm.
no, so therefore we cancel it.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good assessment of how it works. Unfortunately, which sucks because there's so much good content that
I know.
gets booted. Like
Oh,
there's
people don't even know things exist. There's a brilliant anime on Netflix called Pluto, and I'm pretty sure most people have not watched it. It's like 9-hour-long episodes, and it's this kind of, no, I wouldn't say bleak, but it's definitely severe retelling of something involving Astro Boy, and it's just like we just stumbled upon it, but I've never seen anyone talk about it.
mm,
Aries is another, like, these are mini series, thankfully. So the fact that people didn't know about them doesn't mean they're canceled. They just are. But it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, these are great shows and they just get buried.
yeah, and the other thing is there's so much you can watch, and in so many different platforms, and I think sometimes that doesn't help. Like
Yeah.
there's it's really difficult to kind of find that cultural zeitgeist now with there's so
Yeah.
many ways with and it's not just the things you can watch, it's your phone.
Right. Right.
There's a million different distractions, so it's a little hard to get something that has that sort of lightning in a bottle approach. Like I remember like the first episode of Lost, like
Hmm.
there was a very real cultural thing to that. Like that was what the first thing that I remember really kind of really using online stuff to kind of further the lore of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that exists as easily anymore. I think it can happen,
It
but
can, I think, but there's not really a monoculture like there used to be. People are in their own niches a lot more. And
that's true.
unfortunately, the bean counters kind of have to weigh the scales of how much attention they can get versus how much it's going to cost. And
Hmm.
the ceiling is lower, but the prices keep going up. So it's complicated, unfortunately.
It's always complicated, unfortunately. So the other thing I wanted to ask is I've seen some of your posts talking about sapphic horror, and I think I mentioned that to an email to you, but uh, that's not a genre I know very well. So if there's something in that genre that you would think people should put their eyes on or watch or listen to or however whatever medium it comes in, are there things that you would say are in that realm that you listen? This is your personal subjective look at it. So I'm curious what Hailey Piper thinks about that.
Did you say what subgenre did you say?
I thought I said sapphic horror,
Oh,
but
okay.
maybe I was mispronouncing that. But
Um, yeah, I mean, the unfortunate thing is there's not as much as I would like there to be, and I know many sapphic horror authors who don't, like, they themselves are sapphic, but they don't write it,
oh, okay.
which is a shame.
Hmm.
Um, but one that I can think of right off the top of my head is The Haunting of Velkwood, by Gwendolyn Keist. I feel people should read. Um, Another, it's the problem. Like, my brain is like, I didn't have these off the top of my head.
Yeah, sorry to
Yeah,
drop that on you, but it
it's a
just
few
came to
years
me.
old, but it just had a new edition last year. It's To Be Devoured by Sarah Tantlinger. Um, that's an excellent novella. And a lot of stuff by shoot, what is her initials? Crap. TC Parker.
TC Parker. Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I wish I had a longer list ready. It's just that I know so many authors who would kill it with this and they just don't write it.
Well, I would think with the sort of nicheification of things, maybe they would, if they could find the right audience, maybe they
It's
could. You
but
know what I
thing The
mean?
thing is, what's difficult with that is that some people are not out, and unfortunately,
Uh,
readers, publishers, different people demand that you evidence yourself for writing those things. And, like, well, it doesn't
uh,
help that their friends know. It's they have to make it something on social media. They have to make it social media's business,
like
unfortunately.
public,
So,
public.
right. And so, like, someone like me who's like out, I can be like, yeah, I'm writing all these lesbians. I'm writing all these like, bisexual women. And
Mhm.
it's just like, but they shouldn't have to do that. I'm not going to name her, but there's another author who she was pressured to come out because she wrote a bisexual protagonist and people harassed her until finally she came out. It's like, yeah, I'm bisexual. It is own voices. And I'm like, that shouldn't happen.
No, no, nobody should have to come out unless they're ready
Yep,
to do so,
absolutely.
ever. I'm a parent of several queer kids, and we never you we knew parents you kind of know, and you're like, yeah, that one, yeah, yeah, I know you're okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then it was funny, like just the nervousness of them coming to us and being like, yeah, we knew, it's okay.
Yeah.
But but that's the thing is not everybody has that experience. So you're
Right.
absolutely right that nobody should be forced publicly to do that kind of stuff. And there's
And at the
also
same and on the same vein, the ones who are out shouldn't feel like they have to demonstrate it with their fiction if
mm,
they don't if they're not feeling called to it. So
yeah,
I'm like, would I like to have more of that to read? Absolutely. But I wouldn't want to be like, come on, do it. Come
yeah,
on, write it for me. Susan Palumbo is another one. Her book, her Countess, it keeps getting put under sci-fi, but that is a horror book in space, in my opinion.
hey, they can be both.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. That's true. I'm weird with it because my novella Your Mind is a Terrible Thing. People are like, "Oh, it's sci-fi." And it's like, I don't feel it is because I don't feel like I put any science into it. It definitely takes place in space, but I was like very much like, "No, I'm just going to do what I feel like. I don't care how unrealistic it is." Whereas Queen of Teeth, I'm like, "No, I did some research here. I
Yeah,
looked into the mitochondria and stuff, and then just so I could understand what I was talking about a little bit. Like,
yeah,
is it possible to grow teeth down there? If so, I want to know what the normal circumstances are, so then I can say no, that's not what's going on.
yeah. But that's the thing is science fiction. The problem is anytime it's in space, people
I
automatically
know.
assume it's
That's
science fiction.
Star Wars. Like, I'm just like, this is a fantasy series. It just
It
happens
is.
to take place in
It's
space.
Yeah, it is. It's just it's a fantasy series where
Yeah.
people are going between planets. That's
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I know our time is growing short here, but I would like to talk a little bit about your books again, so you could talk a bit about No Drowning for Gods. No Drowning for Gods.
No gods for drowning.
No Gods for Drowning. Boy, I had a background. Sorry. Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about this too. Again, if you could, please.
Again, it's a fantasy based on noir instead of medieval Europe. And we actually have a new cover for it for the Bad
Oh,
Hand Books edition. And that's coming out March 3rd. With a woman trying to bring her blood goddess mother back to save everyone, except the people she has to kill to do it.
mm. Blood God always reminds me of Blade. Like the
Yeah.
Stephen Dorff trying to bring the
Oh,
blood
yeah,
god
yeah,
back.
yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
totally.
Sorry.
He was supposed to be a tornado made of blood at the end, but they couldn't get the CGI to work for it,
Yeah, but
so
that was
they
CGI back in what
there was
year was that?
CGI.
Was
There
Yeah,
was
but that was
CGI
like
back then.
like
No, that's the
early
thing. It
2000s.
wasn't advanced enough to do something that way and look convincing, so they didn't do it that way.
Yeah. Also, one of my first recollections of Donald Logue in any movie, but yeah. Anyway, all right. So, also, you have recently in August came out with A Game in Yellow.
Yep.
So we have that. That again, I'm not going to try to describe it. Please do it yourself because I'll mess it up.
Sure. It's about a couple in a rut who are trying to liven up their sex life again. They meet a third. They're two women. They meet a third woman who offers the kin yellow, and they're going to try to use a cursed play as a sex toy, and does not. It goes about as well as you expect.
So it's like The Ring, but for sex.
I don't know if I'd put it that way, but it definitely Carmen, who's the one reading it, her the line between her reality and what's happening in the play starts to blur pretty soon after the first time she reads it. But it becomes kind of addicting for her because it's, she starts to build a tolerance, so she needs more, so she reads more, to the point that she's looking to get a peek at the play at any point, and she just is thinking about it all the time.
Becomes obsessive then at that point.
Yes,
I guess. Yeah,
and
yeah.
and the play becomes obsessed with her.
Oh, okay. Now we're talking. So, Hailey, we know you have a heart out here. We're going to talk about Teenage Girls Can Be Demons, and
That
then
one's
I think we'll
easy.
call these.
13 coming of age stories. Just about how hard it is growing up, dealing with monsters, and the girls who will do anything to get away or get even.
Yeah, nice. So, Hailey, again, thank you so much for popping on here. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you a bit when no gods for drowning. I almost transposed it again, so I apologize. But thanks again for being on, and I appreciate it. So thank you for being on.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Yep. All right. Thank you. So you can pop up, and we'll catch you later.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Oops, sorry, I pushed her off there. Anyway, I dropped her off too fast.
Yeah, you did. So that was fun.
Yeah. That is one of the more prolific authors that I have had. She has been published for, I think, 7 years and has like 13 books. Like, just like as she said, she's kind of compelled to write, which I am not a person who's like the compelled to write person. I am a person who's more like I'll write when that feels like that's what I should be doing. So like,
but wait, isn't that compelled though?
I guess, but like she makes it feel like if I don't do this, I'm going to explode. And
okay.
Like that's like it, like when we had Chuck Wendig on our other show, and he was saying he talked to Clay McLeod Chapman, who's written a bunch of books too, but he's like constantly writing. Like he's like, I have to get it out of my head or I can't handle it. And I am not that kind of person.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean now.
Yeah, so that's what that is. But
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Can you explain the what is it like? Hailey is a Bram Stoker award winning. Yeah. What can you explain to everybody what is that award and how prestigious is it, or whatever? Like you know what I mean.
It's extremely prestigious for horror authors. It's all for horror authors. Like this is like you get nominated, and the people that get nominated for Bram Stoker, you are considered top level author, or your book is considered top level is a better way to say it. So like, and if you win that is a big fucking deal. It is like winning a James Beard Award when you cook. Like it's that level of like, wow, you did that. Awesome. Like we were talking about Stephen Graham Jones. I think he's won 2 of them. And that guy you can read any of his books. He's just a fantastic fucking author. And he's a Native American. So you'd actually be porting a Native American author. So buy his books.
Amen to that. And what genres of horror come under that?
Every genre. Like that's the thing. You could write, apocalyptic horror. You could write gothic horror.
Is it just one award, or is it like numerous awards?
Numerous, like depends on the genre. So
okay. Oh, okay.
So it's not like, hey, all the horror books, here it is, but it's more like hey, this genre of this book, and
that's how it's like the Grammys for horror.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. I saw that when you were when you told me she was going, and I was like, wait, that sounds big, because Bram Stoker is big, or Bram.
Yeah, Bram Stoker wrote Dracula, so that's considered like the grandfather of horror. It's actually not. It's the lady who wrote Frankenstein. But anyway, Mary Shelley.
Oh, here we go again with men stealing women stuff, but we'll leave that for another time.
Yeah, there's a lot of argument about which one was released first, but whatever.
Gotcha. Not stealing, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe. All right, so this was a fun one. I'm glad it happened. What's happening next month, Doug?
Next month, I'm really thrilled. I don't know if you remember, well, folks, if you remember when I had Greg and I had on the Speakeasy Conversations, back then it was Brothers and Booze, and we had the Kingslingers guys.
Yeah, they took over.
Oh, dude, that was awesome. They were so much fun.
Mhm.
Well, they're doing a new podcast now, and it's called Flanagan's Wake. And Flanagan's Wake is all about them watching all of Mike Flanagan's movies and shows. And we're going to have them on to talk about that. Also talk again, thing we've been kind of staying in the horror realm. We'll be talking about horror again.
So, Doug, for those who aren't familiar with that person, like me, tell us more about him.
All right. So Mike Flanagan. Yeah. So Mike Flanagan has written some extremely successful things. Like he wrote and produced Haunting of Hill House. He followed the House of Usher on Netflix. He's done multiple movies. Gerald's Game, which was one of the best Stephen King adaptations I've ever seen as a film.
So he's Stephen King adjacent.
Stephen King loves how he adapts things. Like he gave him the go-ahead to start doing The Dark Tower, which nobody's been able to adapt that. Nobody. They did a movie that came out, and whoever did it did a fucking terrible job of it. It was awful. It was awful. Like Jill and I are huge Dark Tower fans. I have never seen Jill more angry ever than when she walked out of that movie. She was fucking furious. That's how bad it was. So I mean, he's done like Doctor Sleep, which was essentially the quote unquote sequel to The Shining. He did the show The Midnight Club. He did the movie Hush, which Hush is a little near to my heart because the main character is deaf. The main character is also his current wife, Kate Siegel, and Kate Siegel is a phenomenal actress. And now she helps him produce and do all different kinds of things. I don't know if you remember the movie Life of Chuck. He just did that last year, or the year before.
So this guy's prolific.
Yeah, kind of.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So, but Life of Chuck was actually an adaptation of a Stephen King short story. So, but they're doing basically all of now. What's interesting is before they did The Haunting of Hill House, they read Shirley Jackson's book that it was based on. So they basically did this whole thing where they did chapters of it, reviewed that, and then they went to the show, and they just do an awesome job. They're super funny. They're very thorough. But that'll be next month. And then the following month, we don't have this up, but the following month, I'm having a romance author on. Someone who just writes romance novels. That is something I am utterly unfamiliar with, but being that it's February and there's Valentine's Day.
Yes. Wait, I thought you're a big Valentine's Day person, Doug?
I am not. I fucking hate Valentine's Day. But the point is this is a person I've been friends with on Facebook for quite some time. And she decided, I'm going to write romance novels. And I was like, all right, cool. And then she just, now, if you don't know romance genre, you have to put out like 3 or 4 books a year to get traction. A year.
What?
It is insane the pace they have to go at. So
why? Because the people read them that fast?
Yes. Yes. And most romance novels are like 200, 250 pages. Like most of them are like that.
Quick reads. Yeah.
They're like large novellas.
And then wait, hold on, Doug. Do they all connect then? So are we talking?
Some of them are series. Some of them are series. Some of them are just one-offs. She writes series, and she's written like multiple series. And I'm fascinated to learn what that is. Like,
and is it spicy, Doug? Is it spicy?
Hers are. Not all are. I have another friend in person who for a while wrote what's called sweet romance, which is like basically there's no sex, there's no kissing, they're just implied. They get to that point and then they cut to a scene. You never hear or see any of that. So there's a whole genre of that. There's also romantasy, which is a big thing now. That's basically like a Court of Thorns and Roses is basically like fairy sex. And then there's another one that is that's
What?
dragon sex. Yes, there's a lot of that shit going on. That it's weird and interesting.
Yeah, but
And
that's bestiality. Or wait,
dude, I can't explain it. Women, a lot of women, not all, but like a lot of women like that shit. It's a fantasy for them. It's romantasy. It's romance fantasy.
You know, I never saw that Game of Thrones. Were they doing that and that? Were the dragons messing around?
No. That's just sort of high fantasy in the same realm of Lord of the Rings, but with a lot more fucking and incest.
Oh, but not the dragons. Okay, I was going to say if the dragons were, I might.
The dragons were not involved in the fucking no, not at all.
That may entice me to jump in. Anyway, y'all wild. Wow. Okay, so that's
February.
That's February. Wow, cool. It's kind of rare when you're able to book out. You know, you already know.
Yeah, and I'm trying to do that, be a little better on that. And I haven't been, but I want to get it like how we do for our regular show, where it just like I have things steady. And the thing is, this show is once a month, so it's like so.
You know, I used to produce the Badger Beer Hour, and that was the same issues for sure.
Yeah,
like getting everybody on that one day, you know what I mean, or like content. You know, it's kind of hard with scheduling and all that. So, well, Doug, that sounds great. Any content you would like to recommend before we get out of here for the holidays, or?
Yeah, I would like to also say Speakeasy Conversations. Definitely tune in this Friday. We're having just 2 banging guests. I'm so happy we got those folks. It's Ale Sharpton, and Brewgather, which is basically like an organization in Atlanta that is tries to get Black farmers to work with Black brewers so that their ingredients are working together, and that's just fantastic. I saw them at Barrel and Flow this year. I can't wait to have both of them on. That's just going to be a fucking great show.
And I wonder if we're going to see them at Barrel and Bayou.
Barrels on the Bayou? I don't know. We'll ask.
And then next week, while we're here, it's going to be a good content week with Whitney, right? You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So the week after that, then we're going to have Whitney Ann Adams, who is a costume designer in Hollywood. And I'm not sure if Lauren's participating in that. I would think so, because she always does. And we're going to talk about our top. We haven't decided if it's top 5 or top 10 movies of the year. I think it's top 5.
I can do either way. That's great. And then the week after, Doug,
I have no idea what's going on.
It's more content. Well, it's our top 5 songs of the year, or top 5 albums of the year.
Yeah,
Jerry and Tony. Yeah, I like to call him. I don't know if I like to call him Ant. That's why I stuttered, because I like to call him Ant. Because Anthony, you know, but I don't know if he wants me to call him that. But if he doesn't, then I definitely want to call him that, because, you know, him and I have a spicy relationship, and that's a good thing.
So we also have prior to that, we'll be doing 10 through 6 of our top 10 albums of the year on their podcast, Modern Brews and Beats, Modern Beats and Brews.
Yeah, and we don't.
I always transpose that.
Yeah, and we're recording next Wednesday, so I think it'll come out probably the following Monday, but I'm not sure on that.
Yep. So that's going to be fun as hell, because that's always fun as hell, because there's always a few that we all agree on, and then there's just a bunch we just pull in and talk about.
Yeah, we like to get spicy about it too. We like to,
we like to
criticize. Yeah, we like to criticize each other, or not. It's not outwardly criticizing, but it can be. So it gets a little spicy. So that's fun too. All right, Doug. This is your thing, so you take us out, or unless you have more to talk about.
No. Again, I just want to thank Hailey Piper for popping in and talking to us. Man, just please go and get her books, because you will not be disappointed, because that woman can weave 15 things into one story, and you're just not sure how she made it work, but she always does. So
and today was about sea monsters. That sounded fun.
That's that sea monsters thing. That is No Gods for Drowning. That is one I'll definitely be buying, because that sounds fantastic.
And that's March, right?
Yeah, it's March 3rd of next year. So
all right, man.
All right, cheers everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. Much appreciated. We will see you later.